Christ is risen. Christos voskres. Christos anesti. Christos ha resuscitado. Christ is risen. Christ is risen. Christ is risen. Christ is risen. So rise up and make your bed. That's what we heard in the readings today. Pick up your bed and walk. Aeneas, Jesus Christ cures you. Get up and make your bed. The man got up at once. Jesus Christ cures you. Do you dare to believe it? Do you believe that Jesus Christ can cure you? And that in the resurrection, Jesus Christ already has cured us of everything we will ever need curing from. Jesus Christ cures you, so get up and make your bed. Whatever that is for you. I doubt it's literally make your bed, but if you're one of my daughters, maybe it is. But get up, make your bed. Do what you haven't been able to do. Do what you haven't been able to face. Do what you haven't had strength to do before. Because in the resurrection of Christ, everything has changed. So we can get up, make our bed, carry our mat, whatever that might mean to you and to me. God's still calling people to get up, make the bed, and, thank God, to walk. How is he calling you to walk? Because Jesus is risen from the dead, all of a sudden, so are other people. People being healed, people being raised up from paralysis, from being unable to walk, from lying there sick for 38 years. What an awful picture. Lying there sick for 38 years. And I'm sure there's no word of a lie when he says, I have no one to help me in the water. Well, you may have no one, but you still have him. You may have no one around you, but he is still with you. And he said, I am with you always, even to the end of the world. And he doesn't come to throw us into the water, but he comes to say to all of us, rise up and walk. Most of the time, we're not dealing with a physical inability. We're dealing with the things that paralyze the soul. We sang about that in the tropars and the conducts, with a soul that is spiritually sick. God comes to heal, however your soul is spiritually sick. And the resurrection, as we know, provides for healing, and has done so time and time and time again in the history of the church, in the history of Christian people. From the time of Jesus until now, the resurrection is still healing people. We see this in the readings, in the epistle. Already, Aeneas is cured. And then Tabitha is raised from the dead. They sent for St. Peter. These grieving widows sent for St. Peter. Why did they send for St. Peter? Because of the power of the resurrection and the difference that makes. You see, elsewhere in the book of Acts, we read that they would bring the sick out and put them on the sidewalk so that even Peter's shadow might fall over them. Now, they wouldn't do that if Peter's shadow wasn't doing something worthwhile. There must have been an awful lot of sick people healed by the resurrection, by Peter's faith in the resurrection, if people were bringing out the sick and put them in the sidewalk. Just as the sick were lying there by the pool in the gospel, so now in the Acts of the Apostles, the sick are lying there wherever Peter goes, just in case his shadow falls on them. That's how much power there is for healing in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. If we're willing to reach for that, if we're willing to have faith for that and believe for that. They must have had a reason for calling St. Peter when this beautiful woman died. They must have known already the miracles that were happening all around St. Peter and the other disciples. They must have believed that he could do something, even though this poor woman was dead. So they send for him. Come to us without delay. And he does. And when he comes to them, they tell him about this woman. And it says, her life was marked by constant good deeds and acts of charity. Another translation says she was completely occupied with good deeds and almsgiving. And the widows who were grieving showed Peter all the things that Tabitha had made, all the cloaks and all the tunics. You know, I wonder if Tabitha was one of these wonderful women that you couldn't visit without coming away with something that she'd made for you. And quite possibly $100 as well. Almsgiving. We see this beautiful generosity of this woman. And I was thinking about this earlier this week because I got to bless a whole bunch of prayer shawls at St. Timothy's Church that apparently their ministry of widows, or anybody else who wants to, they have a crochet circle, a knitting circle, and they knit these prayer blankets. And then in their healing mass, they give out these prayer blankets to those who are sick or want prayer. And these blankets are beautiful. Every single one of them is different, all kinds of different colours. And they insisted I take one, so I took one for my family. It's beautiful. Somebody made that with prayer. There are many Tabithas amongst us. Thank God. Thank God for these wonderful people that are so generous and so good to us. For those people that make things for us. Even for those people that give us a bit of green stuff from time to time. God bless them. God bless them. And they show St. Peter all these beautiful things that Tabitha has made. And he tells her too to get up. Tabitha, stand up. And so she did. And it says this became known all over Joppa. I mean, it would be, wouldn't it? Peter has raised somebody from the dead. And because of it, many came to believe in the Lord. We believe in the Lord, yes, because we see supernatural miracles and powers. At least that's what happened in the Acts of the Apostles. But I don't think those people were converted just because they saw something amazing. They were converted because they saw the Lord's goodness. This beautiful woman that everybody loved, the Lord restores her life for a few more years. Yes, that's rare. Yes, few of us have the faith of St. Peter. Yes, that does not happen very often. We know it does happen occasionally, as I've said before. It doesn't happen very often. But we see in it the goodness of God. Just as we saw the goodness of Christ to the poor guy who'd been sick and paralyzed for 38 years. Just as we experience the goodness of God in those wonderful moments when our souls are healed of whatever is paralyzing them. The people in Joppa had an experience of the goodness of God. I think that's why they were converted. That's what changed them more than the miraculous. You can always explain the miraculous away. But you don't need to explain away the goodness of God when you experience it. When people who you know and who you love, who you care for, people in your life, when they have an experience of God's goodness, God's utter goodness, that is what converts us. That is what we need. That is what the world out there needs. And because God is so good, he's telling all of us to get up, make our beds, pick up our mat, and walk with that message of his goodness. I wish I could have brought my prayer shawl today to show you, just as they showed St. Peter, the things that Tabitha made. But the St. Luke, the author of the Acts of the Apostles, talks a little bit about Tabitha's name in Greek, which is Dorcas, which means a gazelle. And the saints, particularly the Venerable Bede, who comments on this passage, says there's a reason that St. Luke talks about her name in Greek. Because gazelles, apparently, they run up and down in the high places, on the mountain places. And St. Bede says that there's a spiritual message there. This Tabitha, this Dorcas, really was a gazelle. In other words, she really was someone who lived in the high places. And I'm looking at the chandelier as I say this, the beautiful high places of the heavenly kingdom. Because of her goodness. The goodness did not come from her, it came from the Lord who gave it to her. But this Tabitha is an example, an experience for her community of something, just a little bit, of the beautiful goodness of God. That she, when we, in our own little tiny ways, reflect the goodness of God, the kindness of God, the generosity of God, we too can be gazelles in the high and beautiful places. Now, it's important that we don't fall into the trap of thinking that Tabitha got a miracle because she deserved it. Tabitha got a miracle because she was so good and she earned it in some way. Well, that's not how miracles happen. And we see this from the gospel. We know there was sin in the paralyzed man's life. We know that because we hear it from the lips of Jesus himself. He says, "Stop sinning. Give it up already so that something worse does not happen to you." That man did not earn his miracle, didn't earn his cure. It was a gift from the generosity and the goodness of God. And the same St. Peter who raised Tabitha from the dead, who cured Aeneas, said in his first letter, "Cast all your cares on him, for he cares for you." Cast all your cares on him, for he cares for you. That is the voice of somebody who knows the goodness of God, who's seen it and has given it to others. Those are the words of the one who experienced the goodness of God so profoundly. And he says to you and he says to me, cast all your cares on him, for he cares for you. That's worth saying another time. Cast all your cares on him, for he cares for you. Even if you think that some of your suffering might be your fault in some way, or in somehow it's because you made a bad choice somewhere along the line, or because you sinned somewhere along the line, or because you chose plan B instead of plan A, or plan C instead of plan B, and so therefore you've got to put up with a bit of misery. Peter tells us, cast all your cares on him, for he cares for you. Peter knew just how much God in his goodness cares for us. As we remember that, thank God that that goodness is still there, that he does indeed still care for us. And since we know that he is good, let us, with his grace, with his help, try to be good ourselves. Try to be like that kind, merciful Tabitha. To the people around us, in whatever way we've been gifted to be good, let us look to be good. And we might just find that our miracle, our rising from the dead, like hers, is just around the corner. Because Christ is risen. Indeed. Christ is risen. Indeed. Christ is risen.